Hello everyone, my name is Daniel, and this is Historic Sim Studios December 2023 development update. And so we're just going to dive into a select number of projects, kind of give you a peek behind the curtain of what's going on, and some of our plans for the future that are coming up. So starting up, of course, this month, we have our upcoming releases and the things we got planned for you in December. Right now, one of the biggest is our some updates we have for the 1926 Amilcar CGSS Voiturette. We're adding custom engine sounds. We got some good recordings, and we're capturing a supercharged version of the engine, which then led to me revisiting the physics on that car and developing the supercharged version of the engine, which wouldn't have been super common in 1926. And, supercharging kind of started being put on them a lot more in 1927, but it's not like it's not possible that they would have had a supercharger on there. And so it also makes it a little more racy, which I think is fun. And I think I was testing it, and I think it really does add a lot of excitement to the driving experience in that car, which is great. Of course, visual improvements to the car. For example, the radiator cap was ugly, like blackish color, so we fixed that. That's now going to be like a bronze color, similar to the color that's on the dash. We also are working on other updates. We added some things for the advanced damage physics, right, that we're adding. That caused a bug to pop up with some flickering. We're going to fix that on one of the gauges. So that'll be fixed, which is just a visual issue. So some touches up, some things like that. We're adding more skins. It's going to be 20 skins in total for that car, which is awesome to have a nice selection since primarily, right, it's a 1920s Voiturette car. We don't have any other cars to go with it. I don't really know of any others that would run with it outside of Historic Sim Studios. So it's one of those projects where having a decent amount of skins, they're not super complex. Maybe something we revisit in the future and add some more detail, but for now at least, there's a large variety, which should allow you to feel out a field and do some racing. And it should be a lot of fun. It should be a great beginner historic racing car, or maybe one that you could use on a controller quite easily if you don't have, just controlling the 1930s car, for example, can be a lot more challenging. This is something that's very approachable and should be quite fun also in a league setting, perhaps, to mix up races, during a 1920 season. We have, let me see, we've thrown on a supercharger, like I mentioned, so the increased horsepower. We have the advanced damage physics, right? We're adding that, and that is something we've been working on for a while. Garamond on our team has been, leading that development, and there are some crazy things that we can do now within Assetto Corsa. Let me see here. Actually, give me a second. I'll pull up a document that I have here listing some of the stuff. It's random tire durability, changing tires outside of the pits, and you can also carry tires to allow that, right? You could have no tires and you couldn't change them outside the pits. Or you can carry 1 to 2 tires. Random spark plug failures, random fading brakes, random fuel leakage, ability to repair those random failures in the pits. So as long as you click on yes to repair the car when you go into the pits, it will repair those, which is awesome. There's new water cooling physics, and this is crazy. Like, we have redeveloped an entire new water physics simulation in terms of the heating properties, simulation of going to water, the engine being cooled, the water then going into the radiator, emitting that heat, and then coming back to cool the engine. That is all simulated now. If there's loss of engine power as the water temps get to excessively high levels, so even if you don't blow your engine, you can have engine power loss and performance loss. If you damage the front of the car, obviously that's when you're going to start having issues with your radiator, and that's going to affect the cooling. As I mentioned, we have that simulated now. And yeah, it's pretty crazy what we've been able to work out there. We've added parameters to support Rain FX. There's just also generally on the engine damage and things like that. Let's say you have spark plug damage, and then maybe you run into something a little bit, so then you get the compounded with the radiator damage and the temps are rising. Like, there are things that can continue to affect your engine performance from multiple directions, and that's all simulated, and that all will layer within each other within the system. There's pressure-based tire explosions, so if you run on the ragged edge and that tire gets really hot and the pressure builds, it can blow, not just based purely on heat, but we are simulating literally the rise of pressure tearing the tire and causing the explosion. And then there are other features that are still in the works, which I'm really excited about. We got engine transmission choices, perhaps, perhaps random failures. If you run into something, will that then increase the chance that there's some random failure? We're working on things like that, transmission failures, perhaps like fifth gear going out on you, and so now you can only go through the other, or third gear or whatever, so now you go fourth, you have to skip down to second, and vice versa. Things like that we would like to implement, obviously very complex features. One thing that's kind of wild that we've been able to implement is we now have a talking writing mechanic. So when you are in the car and some of these things are happening, right, we do have the ability, you can turn the writing mechanic on or off. You can also, in the setup, when you're doing your setup for the car, you can also turn off the overhead, warnings of like these features. But if you leave them on, you will get the experience of, oh, your engine is getting warm. Your writing mechanic's going to warn you about that. Your writing mechanic's going to let you know about some of the issues that are coming up. And we hope to continue to refine that feature and make it something that is really unique and immersive, perhaps for Historic Sim Studios to offer. So we're excited about that. That's really cool. And now let's get back into the dev update. So obviously the advanced damage physics is being added to the Amilcar. The riding mechanic added to the Amilcar. So really, really cool. Let me show a couple of the skins here on screen. So these are some of the skins we've adding. There's going to be a large variety. Like I mentioned, there's nothing crazy fancy about any of them. But I think overall they look pretty nice, and there'll be variety. So that's been a car we've been really focusing on a lot. And so let's move on. Unfortunately, we are going to have to push back the public release of the 1907 Itala 36/45. I identified a few issues there, and that was going to be a public release, so obviously I want it to be at pretty high standard. That car, obviously being one of our first projects, is not going to be the greatest thing out there, so I don't think we're going to push it to race department. We'll probably just post it on Story Sim Studios, have a little disclaimer saying, like, this is one of our early projects. Enjoy it as it is, love it as it is, type of thing. Other updates include we're going to be doing custom engine sounds. They're actually working on right now in their sound department for the 1902 Ford 999, which I'm really excited about. Visual improvements to the 1970 BRM P153, which is really, really cool. I'm really enjoying some of the things that we're doing over there and how that car is progressing. We're actually getting to the point there's so much detail we're going to have to start scrubbing that detail, because I definitely don't like to exceed 450 poly typically on a set of Corsa project. And if we're at that point, then I typically like to add another load, level of detail for the car. Instead of just the typical 4, I like to add a 5th. But, we'll see. Maybe we can get down to 400 or so, which should be totally fine at that point. We have the 1932 Studebaker. We're working on doing some paint schemes for that car. I think we have one more that was actually run on a Studebaker, and then we're going to add a few more paint schemes on similar looking cars to the Studebaker that we're going to add. Obviously kind of in the mindset of we have 2 other cars. We have the HSS Special, and then we would like to do a front wheel drive car potentially at some point for the 1932s, but obviously that's way down the road. But these paint schemes are fitting around those plans to have the majority of the 1932 Indy 500 paint schemes to be present someday in the future. So we've got a nice selection. We've chosen which ones we want to be on it, and they're in progress. It'll be 7 more schemes. So I think that'll be 11 in total, which is going to be really cool and add nice variety, right? All right, now on to the car development department. This is primarily in our update we posted, it's the 1994 Stock Car Thunder and 1916 American Champions packs. So a lot of focus right now on kind of the paid packs we're working on. I want to get these kind of out and done. 1994 Stock Car Thunder pack, it's right on the doorstep. It's about ready to get out. We finished the paint schemes. Here, let me show you a few of them. So you have, this one, obviously, number 24 here, inspired. We have some partners we've been working with that have been very nice, that have been supporting us, and we've put a lot of different, and other ones just, we got their permission to use their advertising. So we have a large selection of advertisers that Historic Sim Studios, we either have permission or they're actually helping to support the project. And then we got this one, obviously, number 3. And here's number 2 as well. So several different, and we have 21 different schemes. So if you're really interested in checking those out, go to our Discord and then go on to the specific 1994 Stock Car Thunder pack. And you are going to see all the different schemes that we've done. There's 21 in total, and they've all been finished. Very high quality. We have an amazing paint team who do the paint schemes for us. They're fantastic. They've been doing a great job for us. So, and then of course we're doing also the 1916 Americans Champions pack, and I know that one had kind of been placed on the back burner, and some people were kind of grumbling about that a little bit, which is all right. It's fine. I get it. But we're back on that one, full steam ahead. We're hoping perhaps to promote it and see what happens in terms of, you know, getting that out to a wider audience. Initially, the plan, or we had changed the plan to May of next year, which may be when it still gets released, right? Depending on how much quality and layers of improvements we continue to add to the project. But also, if we can get an early release done, we will now try to do that. So that's kind of what our car development department has been focused on. All right. Our 3D modeling department, the 1937 Delahey 135C. That is the car we've been primarily focused on. I don't really have a lot of good update pictures. There's one photo. The 3D modelers there do great work. They're not great at doing updates. I've asked them to post them, so the moment I get those in from them, some photos and things, I will then share those photos with all of you. So that's a fun car. Really looking forward to that. That car is going to be developed AAA quality. We're going to be bringing it to Assetto Corsa, and then kind of the next gen, this Automobilista 2, GTR Revival, BeamNG. We're going to be bringing it to a lot of games. I'm interested to see kind of what 1930s a car does, for those types of games, and what people will be interested in driving it. And it's really going to be, I think, an exciting project. One of the first, maybe stepping into the next era of historic sim studios for us. So, really fun project there. Sound department, Amilcar CGSS. I told you we recorded the version with the supercharger, so that covers that. Track development. So our 1915 Ascot Park is finished. Actually, we've also finished the 1916 and 1918 versions of that track. But we're going to, the 1916 and 1918 version of the track will be included in the American Champions pack. The 1915 is going to eventually get a free public release. Pairs perfectly with our Speedster, right? So it seemed perfect to have both of those released for free to the public. And since they go together so perfect, Speedster, short track, race car from the 1915, and then you pair it with a 1915 1-mile dirt oval. And so that car's finished, and I actually want to try to dive in here and give you a little bit of a preview if I can. We'll see if this works well. Obviously, this new format. Let me know what you think of the form. Oh, it's booting up my other computer. Alright, so give you a quick tour here. That's a bit awkward there for a second, but here. Alright, there, a little jump skip, got it working. And so right now, this is just going to give you a quick tour of kind of the layout of 1915 Ascot Park. This was in Los Angeles, no longer exists today. And there was actually several versions called Ascot Park. This is the 1 mile, the original track. Horse racing venue that then was held motorsport events. So you'll notice it's a pretty basic round oval, we got a great grandstand over here. Looks really, really nice. And, just going to be flat. Take a lot of skill to navigate. Obviously, later versions, they added started adding some banking, started to add some oil to the surface to make it a lot faster, which really kind of changed up the strategy since they didn't oil the entire track. And so this circuit here is going to be a lot of fun, I think, for you guys to enjoy. And this is one that we finished up and it's ready to go. So really excited to kind of get your guys' impressions. It's also available to be voted on if you guys would like this to be released into early access. This is one that could potentially be released for next month. So let's exit out of here. And then alrighty, cool. So, and then another thing like touch on is kind of our future plans. We've actually added 3 new members to the Historic Sim Studios development team. Emerson Speed Racer, who's going to be working in the track development department, And then Tasking Flyer and Izan, who are both going to be working in the car development department. Emerson, you might have actually heard of him. He's developed a couple of high-quality Canadian tracks for Assetto Corsa. You can find those on Race Department. They're really great tracks. Really great guy. I'm really excited about how that's going to work with our track development department. He tends to work very methodically, and so that works well for us. At this point, our team is getting quite large. We're in over the 30s, I think, on the day-to-day, and then the extended team, which is, not necessarily directly involved on the day-to-day, is now upwards of 60 on our team. And we're always looking for new people, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that I can, hire you and pay you $60,000 a year. That's not even close. But if you're looking for a little bit of funding or a little bit of cash for the amount of work that you're doing, we're always interested to talk and see what we can work out. And then of course volunteers and stuff like that. We have half a dozen to a dozen volunteers at any time typically helping us out, and that is always greatly appreciated. But it's not necessarily often I'm trying to pay those guys. It's just they really do want to help support Historic Sim Studios. I really like when we have success. I want it to be my team's success. And so when we grow, it's really looking for people that understand that it's, for example, with Izan, his car, the 1989 Group C project that he made, right? I was really impressed by it. I was driving it. He was new. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, you interested in joining the team? And I was also interested in, bringing his car on and working on it. It needs a custom interior because it was using an interior that was already there. And there's some few things that, we want to improve in terms of physics, adding our new advanced damage physics, things like that we really think we can bring to the table. And so we sat down and talked, and it was funny because there was the article Race Department posted about the car. I was in the middle of our discussions, and I thought for a second Izan might back out of that working with us, maybe go on his own way, but no, he was fine. And so we signed the deal, and he's an amazing part of our team now. And I posted some of the sketches he's drawn of the interior, and our 3D modeling department's actually now working on that, building the new interior for the car, and he's leading the development of that 1989 Group C project, which is going to come out hopefully summer of next year. I guess worst case late next year, but it's always cool to have a project like that someone's passionate about, and giving them a reward for the hard work that they've done. So I love doing that, and having someone come onto the team. All right, next month we have, and I don't want to forget Tasking Flyer. Tasking Flyer has, he's been part of the Story Sim Studios community for quite a while now, been a supporter, and that's been awesome, been really great. And then he started working on some 1930 Grand Prix cars, and I reached out to him and was like, why don't you just join us? I would love to have you on board and get your help. So he's primarily going to be helping us with the 1930s projects, and then we'll go from there and see what else he wants to help us out with, and maybe we'll add some more. I know there's been people floating around the idea of, maybe doing some 1938, 39 cars, obviously with the new games coming out and some of our connections within the sim racing community as a whole. Perhaps we can bring some really exciting projects over to those games. I know right now, just as a tentative announcement, the 1935 Mercedes W25 and the 1935 Auto Union Type B are going to be projects that we're going to be looking to bring forward into some of those newer games that are in development. So a lot of fun. There's a lot of licensing that's going to have to be worked out there, which is, meeting with Audi, meeting with Mercedes. I've sat down with some of those, or one of those in the past. So it's one of those where it's just hopefully moving forward now, we can work something out and have something really cool. And so Tasking Flyer is going to be helping with that. All right, next month. Next month we got 19. So this is what's available for you guys to vote on. You can, in the Discord, there is under the monthly voting or whatever I have it listed as. We have 1915 Ascot Park, which I just showed you a little preview of. 1954 HSS Story Sim Studios, our Grand Prix car. It's kind of a custom design. The 1968 Nissan R381, which is the last car in our Japanese GT set that we've worked on. So that'll be a cool car. It also pairs well with the Toyota 415S. Slipping my mind. The Toyota car in that pack. And then, of course, the fourth option is the 1969 Porsche. It's an early Porsche 917, and it's really, really cool project. Obviously not the greatest handling Porsche. Obviously not the, maybe one of the worst 917s ever made. And we have two versions, actually, the short tail and the long tail. At this point, it would be the long tail that would get released for next month. All right, remember, as a reminder, starting on January 1st, 2024, we will be going to one pricing tier at $5. All $2 tier subscribers will be grandfathered in forever, however, at the all-inclusive champion tier. So we're eliminating the $2 tier. You can sign up for it till the end of the month, and then the $2 tier is just going to get grandfathered in and get all the benefits of the $5 tier from then on out. Obviously, if you were ever to unsubscribe, you would lose the $2 tier. But it's something like, if you are a $5 tier and you really want to move down to the $2 tier, nothing's stopping you. You can move down, you'll still have access to everything. And if you're a new supporter, you can sign up and get that lifetime discount. And I'm just doing that to be fair. I just don't want to lock some people out from being able to, no. Anyone can sign up at the $2 tier forever, but it will end at the end of this month, and then we only have one $5 tier. And we're doing that because we believe we're starting to hit, at least for now, unless we get some bigger momentum, it appears we've begun to hit some of the limits of our subscriber base. So it's one of those things where we're going to kind of lock it down, and in the future, if people are interested, they can sign up for $5, and there should be more than enough that we're going to be providing. For example, if you race in one of our seasons, you get $4 off, I believe. $4 off anything. Is it $4 off? Anyways, you'll get a discount into our store, Historic Sim Studio store, that will essentially take it down to our cost. And that will be available for anyone who completes an entire season race. Don't have to win it. You just have to race in every single event. So that's going to be something we're offering for people who want to race in our online season. That's something to encourage them to race in every event. And then also too, we're going to have some prizes and some bigger events. Like we want to do a Triple Crown event with 3 major events with some prizes, broadcasting, things like that. That will make it really fun and really cool for the community. And that's really what a lot of the, you're paying $5 a month. You're going to get a new vehicle, car, track, something to experience every month, something new and exciting and fresh. And then you're also going to have an online community to participate in, and of course you're going to give direct feedback to myself and the Historic Sim Studios team and our development here. And so we're very grateful for your support. I just want to thank every single one of you who supports our mission. We're trying to digitally recreate racing history, but one of the things that I really want to do just overall is bring my passion for these old cars and kind of bring them back to life. And it's just really great to see the enjoyment that you guys get for the same thing that I'm passionate about, historic racing cars. And hopefully that's something that moving forward, some of these connections that we're starting to build now as we become more established, perhaps we can sit down. IndyCar right now, they're looking for a licensing deal. I would love to sit down with them and work, non-exclusive, obviously. We're not looking for exclusive anything, but a non-exclusive licensing deal to perhaps some of their IndyCar stuff. Or we got the 1916 American Champions pack. Perhaps they'd let us use their actual name for that pack, and who knows. But it's one of those things I'm always looking out, trying to find good opportunities for the Historic Sim Studios and the Historic Sim Studios community and supporters and all of you who are on this journey with us. And I'm just so thankful for that support that you guys give. So hopefully you guys are going to continue with us into next year. We have some amazing plans for 2024, and I just can't wait to walk on that journey with you. Thank you.